You're listening to Cinema Rex. It's an Iranian film podcast, episode 53, Arsalan Amiri's Zalava. Spooky Halloween, spooky Halloween, Halloween, spooky Halloween.
What a
It is
throwback.
Halloween, time for Halloween. Ghosts and goblins will watch movies with us. Spooky Halloween, this is Halloween. Fa la la, zalava la lava.
Did we name
Spooky
Did
Halloween.
we name our Halloween thing the way that Treehouse of Horror is a name? Like, do we name this?
No, because here's what I've been worried about, and I've been worried about it since last year.
That we're gonna run
First
out?
of all, I can't believe. Yeah, we have 2 more movies for this month, and then I have nothing in my brain for possible options.
We're not gonna run out.
Because last year I knew we had, and I can't believe a year has gone by already. It feels like we just did it yesterday. What is time even? We did Girl Who Walks Home Alone at Night, and we did, what was it? Help me out here. Why am I spacing out?
Under the Shadow.
Under the Shadow. That's right. And in my head I was like, oh, okay, I know what next year's will be. I have these 2 in mind, but after that I'm tapped out for. The only other one, and it's not even really Iranian technically, is do you ever hear of the film Ma?
Dirud Bar Shoma?
Dustana Aziz, this is Cinema X podcast, where we talk all things Iranian film, cinema, television, writing, acting, cursed demons, empty jars,
Jin.
mass hysterias, and jinns. What else do we talk about, Farhan?
Shooting Below the Hip.
We do talk about shooting below the hip.
Cats.
And we shoot off the cuff with
Yeah.
our opinions sometimes. I'm Kabe Mohebi.
And I'm Farhan Moradi.
We should do like the Simpsons. Like speaking of Treehouse of Horror, we should do like Simpsons as credits for what they do for Treehouse. I'd be like, I'm Kaveh Cadaver Mohebi, and you'd be frightfully Farhan Moradi. Like they always do like Matt Ghoulish Grenning or something.
Oh,
when they do the
yeah,
credits
you're
for
right.
Treehouse. Serpentine Simon or something
Frightful
like that. They
Farhan.
always have a
Frightful Farhan's good.
huh?
Frightful Farhan is good.
Frightful Farhan. Yeah. So Halloween's upon us.
Mm-hmm. Are you gonna dress up?
Yeah, I'm going to dress up as a middle-aged father of 2. The role I was born to play, baby.
Solid.
Born to play that.
I was like, did you just say porn to play, or did I hear that wrong?
Both of those. I was born to and porn to play. I have a question. I can't keep track of your curmudgeonness. Is Halloween one of the ones you hate, or is
No, I
Halloween
love
one of the ones
Halloween.
you love? You love Halloween, you hate Christmas.
Oh, I hate Christmas.
And you Thanksgiving. Merry kill.
I like Thanksgiving too.
I was thinking, like, would it be fun if we had these episodes start if we can ever think of another Iranian film, it's like doo 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 doo, like thunderbolts.
yeah.
And
I know one other one.
It's Cinema Rex Spooktacular.
Yeah, we should do something like that.
But I don't know if there's okay, you know one more?
Yeah. It's
Tell me.
actually funny enough, it was the one that Dara had recommended that he wanted to do.
So you like Halloween? That's the thing we're going with here. That's the narrative we're
Yeah, I like
Mine
Halloween.
goes
I
off.
like Thanksgiving. I like the fall.
right.
Fall colors are great. Fall
Mm.
activities are great. Corn
What's
mazes.
your favorite fall activity? Falling in love?
Maybe costumes. Costumes and candy.
Okay.
The Halloween. Although this year I'm trying to watch 31 horror movies, which you helped me curate my list. And that does not include the 2 that we're doing for Cinema Rex.
And you've watched 6 so far then? 5?
I'm a little behind because I was on set last week. There's a few days where I'm going to have to do 2 of them. So I'm watching Nightmare on Elm Street. So after tonight, I will have done 3. There's a few other nights where I need to do 2.
Okay, great.
Yeah. How many horror Halloween movies have you watched so far?
I started in the last week of September, so 9. I'm excited to watch this movie. To talk about this movie.
I hope you've already seen it.
This film caught my attention around 2019 when it premiered, at least in Canada. The Canadian premiere, maybe worldwide premiere, was at the Midnight Madness Festival
At TIFF.
at TIFF, and it had been a very difficult movie to land and track down. It's, first of all, just for people who want to keep track with this film is available on YouTube. I think the best work around finding it is either typing Zalava, Zalava, full movie Iranian, or if you do a Google Translate, or if you copy the Iranian writing from a Wikipedia page if you don't type or speak Farsi, and just copy and paste the Iranian writing of the title into YouTube, you'll find a video length that's like an hour and a half long. Did you see it on YouTube? Did you watch it on YouTube?
I did.
I did too, because the version I had on my computer had really bad subtitles, and this is a Kurdish language film.
Yeah.
So you unless you speak Kurdi, it's a very difficult film to track language wise.
Yeah.
But before we go into like summary and our reactions, it's weird because this film was very difficult to get a hold of for years. There's not much distribution of it. There's no digital release of it. You can't rent it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no hard what do you call it? Like physical copy release of it as of date. And the other film that's even harder that I've really been wanting to watch for a long time, Iranian film called Subtraction by Mani Hariri.
Okay.
It's got a cool premise, and it's a thriller mystery.
I like the poster.
Yeah, it's about like a married couple that like they think they found their doppelganger in the streets of Tehran, and they're trying to figure out why there's like identical versions of them. And you can't find it anywhere. It also played at TIFF. So someone please help us get in contact with that filmmaker, and so we can watch the movie. I will buy it. I will blind buy that movie just to own the copy because I really want to see it, and I think I'd like it.
How much would you pay me if I found it?
To purchase it, or just pay you to like have it and then tell me that you have it and then you don't give it to me?
If I got our copy of it and I showed it to you,
I'll pay you $4 million. Okay,
all right, fair enough.
Did you find it?
No.
It's very difficult to find.
I'll find it.
So, Farhan, any thoughts on this before we jump into the stuff? I guess you want to save your thoughts for thought sharing time.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on this first, because this is you were like super excited to talk about this one. So, had you seen it before, or was this your first time watching it?
No, this is my first time watching it.
When did you watch it?
I watched it last night, actually.
And how? Okay, so you've watched it one time. Okay. What are your thoughts?
Well, hold on. Plot summary time. Boo-doo-doo. It's 1978, and the inhabitants of the small Kurdish village of Zalava claim there's a demon among them. While investigating this claim, Masood, a young sergeant, encounters an exorcist who claims to have trapped the demon in a glass jar. When he arrests the exorcist on charges of fraud, the villagers grow fearful and resentful of the arresting officer, escalating tensions in the region. Masood and Malia, the town's doctors, soon find themselves trapped in what the villagers believe is a cursed house, surrounded by enraged and violent townsfolk who believe they are both possessed by the demon. This has an 88% Rotten Tomato score, and weirdly enough, not enough audience reviews to get an audience score, which is usually the other way around, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has a critical rating, but it doesn't have like the average audience reviewer.
That's surprising.
So I ask you, Kavajun, what did I think of Zalava? You said you wanted me to go first,
I
right?
want to hear your thoughts.
Well, thank you for asking. And might I say, you look very handsome. Well, thank you, Kaveh. Come here. Give me a kiss. All right, not right now. We're recording a podcast. Well, my end result was I actually really, really enjoyed this film. There's a thing that I specifically like in horror films, and I'm going to point to some examples when we get to double feature lineup, where I love playing with ambiguity, and I feel like sometimes you don't. But I think depending on what the theme of the film is, ambiguity can be an asset. And again, we'll get to deeper analysis and all this stuff. But my biggest concern off the top was I actually felt the film looked a little too polished. And it gave me like a concern that this film looks high budget. It looks very glossy. The cast looks very attractive. One of those things I don't know if I've just been like conditioned by Kiarostami films to see these beautiful landscapes with like a bit of rustic, like old school film, and like the cast, you know, Kiarostami always uses these actors that look like real people and stuff.
Yeah.
And this doesn't. This felt like they all kind of feel like actor. Well, not all, but I felt the lead certainly looks like he's a male model with a chiseled jaw and like a really handsome mustache, and he's also putting on this sergeant. Like, he didn't look real.
You think it was a real mustache? I was thinking about it while I was watching it. I was like, is that a real mustache?
Maybe. I didn't think about the mustache once, other than it was there.
Right. Okay.
But I really ended up enjoying this film a lot. A lot.
Okay. Go on.
We'll have to go down this route over time and talk about how we landed there. But my biggest concern was, you know, I always say that I think horror is the best genre to talk about important things.
Okay.
you don't have to talk about important things, but it's always an added layer of intrigue if you have your horror film be thematically about something,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's political, philosophical, personal, intimate, about the human condition, whatever it is you want to say. It's always nice to use horror as a vehicle to talk about important things. My biggest concern watching this film was, what is this film saying about Iran at this time? Because right off the top, it goes into, do you remember like the first line?
Yeah. That the movie
like
takes place before the revolution,
a month before.
which I was like pretty surprised. I was like, yo, how did they get away with this?
Yeah. Oh, you mean from a political standpoint? Like, how did they get that made with the Iranian
yeah.
government currently? Interesting. Yeah. And so, as I'm watching this film, I was starting to get a little bit nervous. And again, we'll get there. I want to kind of do a spoiler, non-spoiler version of this
Okay.
for listeners, because if you're intrigued, like, pause at a certain point. But I was like, I genuinely believe in my heart of hearts, my opinion will be, I can come to a conclusion of what this filmmaker is saying based on how this film ends.
Okay.
And I genuinely, it became binary for me.
Yeah.
In the sense that if the film ends like this, I kind of feel like I don't agree with this filmmaker's politics.
Right. Okay.
If the film ends like this, the other way, then this is really interesting, and I really like what
I
he
see
has
that,
to say.
and I agree with that.
Right. And so I have to say I'm happy to see that, like, based on my own personal interpretations of the ending of the film, I feel like the film is saying something that I align with.
100%. 100%. Which also makes me wonder how the hell they got away with this movie.
Yes. I mean, we've seen time and time again where, like, films like The Lizard and something else we talked about recently, they just kind of, they found a way to coyly talk about it. So I really liked it from that perspective. It reminded me of some films that, we'll get to there, and you'll realize that some of my favorite horror films touch on important things without playing their full hand or revealing the full trick. And I have to give it a strong recommendation off the top. And I wish I hadn't waited so long. I kind of, maybe I was worried I wouldn't like it. So I waited years and years because, like, well, if I don't like it, at least, I don't know. I was saving it for a moment, and I was glad I did. Now I feel like you were underwhelmed. So please, Farhan June, tell the class.
What makes you think I was underwhelmed?
Well, now I think you were overwhelmed. But no, I don't know. I don't know. You're muted in your responses for the most part. But okay, go on.
Because I'm trying to give you the floor. I'm trying to let you share your thoughts.
So you want me to share my thoughts, and then you want me to share my thoughts about your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly.
And then after that, do you want me to give?
I am neither overwhelmed nor underwhelmed. I am whelmed.
Perfectly whelmed.
I am perfectly whelmed. I'm mid-whelmed.
Okay. Is that good?
I think it's fine.
So you think the film is overall mid?
Yeah.
As the what once the kids would say, I guess.
Yeah.
People
Although I feel like
say
mid, like I know people say mid, but a lot of times when they say mid, they're underwhelmed.
True. Yeah.
But I would say like mid to the truest sense of the word.
Right down the middle.
It's a perfectly cromulent film.
Yeah. Would you like to expand on that?
Of how it's a perfectly cromulent film?
Yeah, what things, I mean, let's pretend we're recording a podcast here and your opinions are something people want to listen to.
Okay, right off the bat, I wrote, and tell me if you agree with this, it kind of felt like more like an HBO drama than it did like a movie.
At which point? Throughout?
Yeah, throughout. Like it felt more like I was watching in the middle of like episode, I don't know, like 5 and 6 of some like HBO show. Well, because when the movie starts, you're like everyone already knows each other. This like the rules of this world of story already exist. Also, the like polish on the film, like when you were talking about the polish, it doesn't feel like a lot of Iranian films. It also doesn't feel like a lot of Hollywood films. Like it I actually asked, shout out to Craig Wallace. I asked him to like look at a couple scenes of it because I asked him to look it up because I was like, there's something about this movie that visually doesn't feel like a movie.
Yeah, that's exactly what I felt.
Like visually, it looks more like a TV show.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say when you talked about maybe there was something, especially early on, that it just felt too the
something
sheen
was off.
too...
Yeah, and it came down to a couple things. One thing is that it's generally speaking, when you're like filming movies, like one of the telltale signs of like making something look cinematic is you backlight it. So you like light characters from behind, and the reason you do that is because it makes them stand out from the background and it adds depth, right? So that doesn't mean like you only do it from behind so that they're silhouetted. That's not what I'm talking about. You still light them from in front as you normally do, as they do in this movie. But when you also light from behind, pay attention to the movies that you watch. You usually get like a very faint like glimmer of light around the outline of the person. Even if they're perfectly lit up from in front, they're still backlit somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout this entire movie, they didn't like nobody's backlit. The other thing that I noticed was that the something with the motion was off. I don't know if the shutter speed was too high, like the opening of Saving Private Ryan is an example of that,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's a scenario where like maybe they shot it at 30 frames per second and then it was converted to 24, or maybe they shot it at 24, converted it to 30, converted it back to 24, but there's like something weird going on with the motion as well. So the motion thing and the flat lighting together, and the fact that like it just throws you in the middle of this like world that already exists and all these characters who already know each other.
Mm-hmm.
It really felt like I was watching episode 5 and 6 of an HBO show.
Well, I mean, if you're saying that that's to its detriment, I don't mind.
I don't think it's to its detriment. It was just an observation. Like like if I walked in the room and you were watching this and you were like, Farhan, do you think, like, let's say you're 10 minutes into this movie, like, Farhan, watch the next 20 minutes of this and tell me if I'm watching a show or a movie. I would have guessed show, just based on the look and feel of it.
Yeah, I just think from a writing standpoint, I like the fact that it's lived in and like these characters already know each other.
I
and
agree.
The rules are established. Like, I don't want to waste time with
Yeah,
that stuff if it's not
From a writing
necessary.
standpoint, I agree. Visually, it was a little off-putting.
Yeah.
But from a writing standpoint, I agree for sure. And just to clarify, like the shows that it reminded me of in terms of visual language and style is the polished HBO shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I like.
Well, that, again, like, just to not to belabor the point too much, but I think something about that lead too. Like, that lead doesn't look like a real general or a sheriff in a lived-in village in the way that Kurosawa films have these characters look. I'd feel like The Exorcist looks like a real guy, and even Yuan, the military number 2, like everybody else did, kind of felt a little bit more lived in and real.
Yeah, he
this
was
guy
like
felt
a
like
CW,
like a male model.
Yeah, like CW actor, or you know what, like those Turkish soap operas.
Yes. Oh, I'll get to that. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'll just say it now. There are some romantic moments where the two leads, the sergeant and the doctor, the female doctor, are giving each other like long, forlorn eyes, and I was like, this feels Bollywood.
Yeah.
And it's kind of incongruous with the rest of the feature.
Yeah. The whole movie very much feels inspired by a lot of like Turkish soap operas.
Yeah. Until it doesn't, though, with the dramatic stakes involved around the horror of the film, which I love.
Yeah. I also really liked the building of tension in this movie. I thought was really well done.
Yeah.
Like there's a number of scenes where you think someone's going to open the jar, which allegedly houses the djinn.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple times where like a cat might knock it off,
Yes,
and all
that
this
stuff's
stuff.
great.
Those are done really well.
Yeah.
There's also the director does a really good job at showing in one of the scenes. There's like something moving under a tarp or under like a bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're watching it at first, the way it's presented in the first shot, you don't see the kitten. So you're like, oh, it's probably the kitten, right?
Yeah.
But then the next shot, the kitten walks into frame as the bag is moving.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh shit, it's not the kitten, which is a really smart move.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it's like, it sets up an expectation, right?
Yeah.
And then it like takes you in a direction where you think it's going. And before your brain can rationalize it, it shows you like, hey, actually, it's not the thing that you think it is. And then it subverts the expectation again when you realize it's actually just a bunny.
Yeah.
And then a few times there's things with the cat and the bunny until you find out the thing with the second in command police officer mentioned, and it subverts the expectation again. Well, a number of times the movie does that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really fascinating to watch because as you're watching it, you're like, where is this story going? What's going on next? Like what? But I also think that because of that, I wasn't able to get completely enthralled or even like scared at all because it doesn't live in any of those moments long enough to build just enough tension for me to be like, oh shit, these people are in danger until like the last scene.
Yeah, if you Google this film, you'll find it under horror/drama, and I think that's very deliberate. It's probably marketed that way too.
Yeah.
Because it is relying, like a lot of the horror is relying more on human character effects. Like it is got the tapestry of a demon possession film, but it's more about the mass hysteria of the people surrounding this potential demon possession, right? It's not an out and out horror. film. I wouldn't say it does land more in the thriller elements with thriller film, drama film with elements of horror. I recommend people, if you like horror and if you like Iranian films, check this film out. It's worth it. It's like the runtime's an hour and a half long, and you can find it on YouTube. There are things I want to talk about when it gets to spoiler territory, especially when we're talking about like deeper thematic stuff that will essentially, I don't think spoils the ending, but not knowing, I think the film is a little bit more elevated if you don't know how the final act is going to break down.
Okay.
Would you agree?
Yes.
So I want to say that if you are interested in seeing this film, it's a high recommendation from me and a mid recommendation from Faron.
Yeah. I mean, you'll get my official rating at the end of the podcast.
But you can find the YouTube link to it. Just do your homework and find it and watch it. Otherwise, keep listening because we're going to do some spoiler stuff here.
Yeah.
Got it? Great.
Yeah, got it. Okay, can I get into spoilers now?
Yes, get into spoilers.
Okay. So asking about Wicker Man really quick. Does the movie Wicker Man get into anything supernatural?
No, I haven't seen the Nicolas Cage one.
Okay. But so it's similar to this then, where it's like the townspeople are superstitious and the townspeople think that there's like supernatural stuff going on, but we never actually see it.
See,
the real danger is the townspeople.
I'm going to answer your question by going on a very long journey.
Okay, I'm going to zone out.
Because there's a lot I have to say about this. My biggest concern with this film as I watched it was, if we don't see a demon, I feel like this film is pro-Khomeini.
What?
I'm sorry, if we see a demon in this film.
Oh, yeah.
If a demon arrives,
yeah,
I feel like this film is pro-Khomeini.
Yeah, 100%.
And if there is no demon, if we don't see a demon in the end, I feel like it's anti-Khomeini.
Yeah.
And to fully understand why, you'd have to see the film or follow our threads on this. But essentially what we have is a story about a group of people, a townsfolk of people, whether they're illiterate or stupid or whatever, who have been duped by a false prophet into believing that he's captured the villainous demonic possession that's taken them over.
Yep.
And they need him to be saved.
Yep.
Now, that is not to say, in my opinion, that there was no demon possession. For the trappings of a horror film to exist, there are some subtle hints that there was a demon possession that existed.
Yeah.
But the film never chooses to show you that, right? The filmmaker is like, you're never going to see anything supernatural. And the reason that I felt that if you were to see a demon possession is that this exorcist, who is claiming that the town needs him and he's going to be the person to save them.
Yeah.
If there is a demon, he is doing the right thing and he is the right person to lead them. Correct? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it is ambiguous, then we are left to our own decision as to whether or not this guy is telling the truth, or if he's playing them for a con artist. And I think that moral line is the central thrust and crux of the story with this, what this guy is going through.
100%.
The main sergeant. And that's why I was getting very worried as I was watching this movie. Is like, are we going to see a demon in this film?
Yeah.
And I'm going to probably hate the message of what this film is saying if there is a demon. Despite the fact that my horror inclinations would be like, oh, I'd love to see a demon here.
Yeah.
I was genuinely being like, sounds a little pro-Khomeini.
I had literally the exact same
up.
thought process. Not even joking.
And we should mention that the really brilliant device, or at least in my opinion, brilliant device is this exorcist goes into the house. We don't see what happens inside the house except some screaming. We hear it. He comes out and he shows an empty jar that he sealed shut. And he's like, I've got the demon in this empty glass jar.
Yeah.
Which we can see through the jar. There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
He might as well be saying he has oxygen in the jar.
And his proof is that the jar, when he lobs it, the jar doesn't break. But
which
we
could
also
happen
see, yes, because there's a later point in the movie where the jar rolls off the table and it doesn't break.
Yeah.
And you think like, oh, yeah, the demon is in it. But then later the other police is like, oh, I swapped the jars.
Yeah.
So it was just a regular jar and it just happens to not break. Then later, the actual jar that allegedly had the demon in it, no one ever opened it. When the police goes and throws the jar, it shatters.
Yeah. So one of the things I think about is I still feel like you could argue that there was a demon possession. This film doesn't outright refute the fact that there was.
Talking about? I thought it completely refuted it. Literally the jar thing that we just talked about.
Yeah, but the demon, there wasn't when was there a moment stated like, well, if this jar breaks, like they say that later on in their master.
He literally says it.
No, but what I mean is like there are I don't think you should necessarily believe the rules that this guy is saying. Like this guy there could have been a demon possession and this guy's a charlatan. people start bleeding out of their nose. I think the film is like, you can decide what you want this film to be about. Is it about, forget the thematic elements of it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't agree with you. I think that your reading of this is not accurate.
Okay.
But you're entitled to read it that way. I just don't see it that way. Why don't we talk about this more when we get to deeper analysis?
Yeah, let's do that. But yes, I also wrote the very good tension in the night scene. There's a moment that clicked for me that I really liked this film a lot. I was like, I'm going to be excited about this. And it was the first time that he interrogates the exorcist, where he takes him outside and he's like, okay, I will let you go. Because he wants to arrest him, and the townspeople like, don't arrest him. He saved us. He's like, okay, I will let you go if you admit to everyone right here that there's no demon inside of this jar. Do you remember that when he's like interrogating him?
Yeah.
And then the guy won't do that. And that was one of the first like really interesting moments for me, because I was like, this is gonna all hinge on whether or not there is something in this jar.
Yeah.
So this guy, Masood, the main sergeant, the lead character, he is a man of science entirely, or whether he's not a man of science, he's definitely not a man who's gonna believe the fables of this town, right? He's not believing the demonic possession. And what I ended up liking, there was a very nice reveal about his childhood backstory, about being born with like an extra finger when he was in the orphanage. And because of that, the family that took him in adopted him. Then they realized the finger, and like the family's like,
because they take the baby to a spiritual expert.
Yeah, and she sees the finger, and he's like, oh, this kid is like touched by the demon or whatever. He's like the devil's child. And they return him, and because of that, he wasn't adopted. Yeah. And I really like that as a backstory for why someone is like, I can't believe in demonic stuff. These people ruined my life. Yeah. People believe this stuff.
I also like when the doctor's like, what happened to the finger? I never noticed. And his response is like, he's like,
yeah.
Oh, I continued to feed it until it grew wings and flew away.
Yeah.
Which is like him being like making fun of all the superstitious BS.
Yeah. So from that standpoint, I actually really like the script. I think there's some really cool character moments about each one of these kind of get their own like mini monologue that I thought was actually really good writing.
Also, like all these people in the town are like very likely related to each other to some degree, because they all have vitiligo. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, the Michael Jackson skin disease.
Yeah.
Vitiligo.
Is that how it's pronounced?
That's how I've always heard it.
Right.
Pronounced it when I talk about it every day.
Yeah, all these characters, or all the village people, have it to some extent, and they all think that it's their marks of like demons like passing through them all.
Yeah,
I like that they like tied that into the lore of the world of story.
It's also worth mentioning, and we can move to behind the scenes and trivia. I don't have too much stuff here, so if you're good, I'll just mention this next fact.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Behind the scenes and trivia, there's 3 writers credited with writing the script.
Okay.
Which is always, I always get a little bit like, what happened here? I've written a feature that got produced. I was the 3rd writer on it, and the film's not that strong. But Arsalan Amiri, who's the director of this film, is one of the writers. Tamine Bahramalian, and Ida Panahande. What's interesting is Ida Panahande, one of the co-writers, she's a director and writer in her own right. She wrote in 2020 the film Nahid, which is it won Un Certain Regard. Say it, Un Certain
Regard.
Section at 2015 Cannes Film Festival. So she like is a prolific filmmaker in her own right. This is Arsalan Amiri's directorial film debut.
Pretty solid for a first-time director.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of film accolades and stuff that I guess we can go into in thing.
There's a lot of times where I've like found out that it was someone's first film. And then you find out that they actually had another first film before it that got buried.
Right. Yeah. You hate.
I know a lot of Canadian filmmakers that have like done that, and then they're like, "Yeah, I had another movie that people told me I needed to bury." I'm like, what?
Director Arsalan Amiri insisted the jar used in the film be kept sealed between takes. When a production assistant accidentally opened it, half the crew refused to come back to work until a local cleric had reset the vibe.
That was really funny.
That's also made up. That's the one made up lie that I put in every behind the scenes trivia. Yeah. Got to keep you on your toes.
I feel like that's very plausible.
I know, but that's a good story though. That's a good story, right?
Yeah, it is a good story. But your last one, the Sega Dreamcast one, that's one that it's like if you think about it for like a couple seconds, you're like, wait a second.
Yeah. You didn't even have to think about it. You right away caught me on it.
Did I? Thought I took like a
Yeah.
second. Maybe you're right.
No, you didn't even let me finish the sentence. Arslan Amiri, it's worth mentioning. He's Kurdish. He's Kurd,
I
and
figured. No?
and yeah, of course. I'm just stating behind the scenes and trivia.
Right.
It's worth mentioning a little bit of what Kurdish people were going through at the time because I
Yeah.
think it's relevant to the plot, like where they were in the
Yeah.
late 70s.
Yeah.
So Kurdish people in Iran were essentially kind of trapped between collapsing worlds. Under the Shah, they'd already been pushed to the margins culturally, politically, economically. Speaking Kurdish had been discouraged. Local governance was almost non-existent, and the whole region was basically ignored until it posed a threat.
Yeah.
So when the revolution happened, a lot of Kurds saw it as a possible fresh start
Mm-hmm.
and a moment where they might finally get some autonomy, maybe even just recognition. And for a brief second, it actually looked possible. But once Khomeini came to power, the door slammed shut pretty fast on them, and the new regime wanted a single, unified Islamic republic, and there was no room for ethnic or regional independence.
Yeah.
And things turned violent almost immediately. Kurdish parties like the KDPI and Komala, I don't know what it is, were called for, they called for self-rule, and Khomeini sent in the revolutionary guards to crush those uprisings. Thousands were either killed or displaced. And it's one of those moments in history where the revolution's promise that came with the freedom and justice and equality that everybody hoped for had just flipped into another system of control, and the Kurds were among the first to pay the price for that contradiction. And I think when you think about what injustices were done upon them and the fact that Arslan Amiri comes from that background, it just solidifies the fact that this film is kind of doing that middle finger to the false prophets and charlatans that led people astray with that promise.
I do also want to mention that the thing with like the language minority, like forcing people of other language groups to abandon their native tongues and conform to Farsi only, and also the thing of like taking guns away from rural townspeople, that was not imposed exclusively on Kurds. It was also imposed on like Azeri groups, on Lori groups, on like Baluchi groups, on Mazandaranis. A big difference, though, is that a lot of Kurdish groups and Baluchi groups fought back.
Yeah,
like they were a culture of resistance was much stronger in those communities.
My favorite John Belushi film is Animal House.
Thanks, Kabe.
I also think it's worth mentioning because you mentioned the taking away of the arms. That's the opening scene of this film.
Yeah.
Is that again? It's beginning like you said. Like we're episode 4. This guy's already showed up and he's begun confiscating the townspeople's guns away because the hysteria's already grown to such epic proportions that he's worried they're going to start firing on one another.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's better for me to take away the guns so you don't kill each other.
Yeah.
Than you guys do whatever. And that's kind of what that's sort of like that's kind of, would you call it inciting incident? The aftermath of that?
Yeah, I would say it's the inciting incident. Yeah.
Critical reaction.
Yeah.
Zalava won the Hong Kong Asia Financial Forum in 2019. That sounds financially great.
Who named that?
I don't know. I didn't want to look anymore.
That was a terrible name.
I'm like, just whatever.
You didn't make up a second fact, did you?
Yes, an award.
You're like, Hong Kong Asia Oriental
Financial Forum.
Yeah.
2022 winner, Emerging Raven for Arsalan Amiri at the Brussels International Festival of Fantasy Film.
Gee.
Winner of it won the 2020. It's the Emerging Raven winner.
Okay.
Clearly, we all know the Emerging. It's Brussels International Festival.
I've been to Brussels. It was nice. You're welcome.
Me too. I liked it too.
Did you go there when you were in Europe for your master's?
No, I went years later with my wife.
Wow, you have a wife. Rub it in.
Winner of 2021's grand prize at the Venice International Critics Week. It won the best film at Venice Film Festival. And in 2021, I learned how to say it. It was the Fipreschi Prize winner.
Wow.
It took 9 Fipreschi film winners for me to finally realize I was like, how do you say this?
How did you find out how to say it?
It's just one of those pronunciation things. It just breaks it down for you. At the Fajr Film Festival, 2021 winner for Best Actor in Supporting Role by Puriya Rahimi Sam, who plays the Exorcist. He won Best Actor.
Oh, solid. My brain went to The Exorcist, like the 1970s movie. I was like,
No,
wait, what?
no, the guy who plays the Exorcist.
I understand now. Yeah. What was his name again? It was like what was his name? I wrote it down.
Amarda.
Amardan.
Amardan, yeah. Amardan, yeah. Best screenplay, Crystal Seymour went to Arsalan Amiri, Ida Panahande,
Yeah, I saw
and
that. It was
Pamine
good.
Bahramarian. Nominee for Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor in a Lead Role, which was Navid Pourfaraj, who's the main sergeant. Nominee for Best Cinematography.
Yo, that poor Farage guy's last name is almost a combination of my first name and my last name.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
My real last name.
It was nominated for Best First Film. So, like, did very well at Faj. At the Fantastic Fest in 2021, it was the winner of Best Picture at the Next Wave Award.
Whoa, that's pretty solid.
Fantastic Fest is a really good
Yeah.
film festival.
Yeah.
Especially for genre films.
Yeah.
At the Hafez ceremony, it was the 2023 winner for the jury award. This film got accolades, man. I think this film should be like wider known in my opinion.
Yeah.
Despite what, if you feel like a middle of the road film, this you gotta admit this is like under acknowledged.
Yeah.
Like this film premiered at TIFF in the midnight. Like there aren't enough Iranian horror films as there are. Like this should be known. Last thing is a writer of Variety named Alison Simon.
Named what?
Alyssa Simon.
Okay, I just heard Simon. I was like Beyonce? Like there's no last name?
No, but I actually said it wrong the first time.
Oh, okay.
Wrote marking a confident cinema literate feature debut for Helmer and co-writer Arsalan Amiri, a member of the Iranian Kurdish minority. The film puts a new spin on genre conventions, but perhaps its biggest asset is the performance of tall-toned and impressively mustached star Navid Pourfaraj as the sergeant of a nearby military station.
A little too impressive, if you ask me.
Whose attempts to lay down the law with the trigger-happy residents of Zalava result in unintended consequences. So, praise there from Variety. Farhan, any other thoughts? Should we go to deeper analysis?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay. What I love about this film is, like as you mentioned, is it works as kind of as a metaphor for what was happening in Iran around the late 70s.
Yeah.
There's this wave of mass hysteria.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
This collective need to believe in something.
Yeah.
And this film taps into that.
100%.
It's not really about a monster in a traditional sense. It's about how fear and faith can start to blur together until people convince themselves of anything.
Yeah. The religious superstitions drove the people to mutiny against the governing body, abandoning reason like in favor of superstition.
Yeah. So of course the film isn't necessarily supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more about how societies create their own ghosts, how panic.
Kava has a little smirk on his face, you guys.
Yes. How create their own ghosts. It's more about how societies create their own ghosts, how panic, rumor, and belief can take on a life of their own. And when people are desperate enough, they'll follow whoever claims to have the answers. That's how false prophets arise.
Yeah.
So the horror here isn't just about what's lurking in the dark, but it's about what happens when belief itself becomes the thing that haunts you.
Yeah. Yeah, the true demon was the people all along.
Yeah.
I also wrote here that the fact that they
Planet
kill
of the Apes ending.
Yeah. The fact that they kill the woman at the end is also I think it's a very clear stand-in for what happened to women's rights and how Iran essentially became like a gender apartheid.
Yeah.
When the cop basically refuses to kill the exorcist, he doesn't do it because he realizes that killing him would make him a martyr.
Mm-hmm.
So he just injures him, right? Which is more or less what happened with Khomeini.
Yeah.
The Shah refused to kill Khomeini because he was worried that it would make him a martyr.
Yeah.
And it would make the hysteria worse.
Yeah.
But sure enough, all it did was like allow Khomeini to amass more power and take over.
I agree with everything you're saying, and I think those are excellent points.
Thank you. Thanks.
Best scene. Like I mentioned earlier, but the interrogation scene early on with the whole village watching was one of my first early favorite scenes. Actually, the arrival of the exorcist with that blue smoke in his hand and how he goes up the stairs.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is like feeling a very cinematic. Like, this actually had a tinge of the William Friedkin exorcist film. Like he's arrived. Here's this guy that's gonna like show up. He's at the bottom of a set of stairs, which is reminiscent of the film. So I was thinking like this film started making me feel like, oh, if it's about this glass jar and the motif of this stuff of like faith and superstition and all that stuff, I'm down. And that was the moment I kind of felt I'm in good hands here. I really like those scenes breaking down. That idea, the ultimatum of like, I will let you go. I won't put you in jail. Just admit in front of everyone that you're a charlatan and there's nothing in that glass. And he won't do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a cool scene. Like this probably was a very fun scene to write.
Yeah.
So that's one of my, I'll put that as the best scene because I really enjoyed it.
Solid. That was not one of mine. Actually, well, one of them kind of plays into it. It's the conclusion of the exorcism.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote from the exorcism up until like even the dancing.
Yeah.
Like when like he makes it seem like, oh, it's like successful and he throws the jar and like everyone starts dancing. I thought that that whole sequence was very well crafted. But I think my number one favorite scene is actually when you see the cop and he's trying to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
And the cat is like hanging out around the table and then the jar falls over.
Yeah.
And the jar falls over off camera when he's facing the wall. So you don't know if the cat knocked it over or if it fell on its own.
Yeah. Very well.
And then
directed.
it rocks back and forth.
Yeah.
And then when it falls off the table, same thing. Like you don't see how it falls off the table. And then it doesn't break and it rolls over towards him. There's all this stuff that happens with the jar that really plays up this idea of, is there something alive inside the jar or is the cat doing it? And you can see this guy getting rattled by it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's getting nervous to, there's a great jump scare, which does land into this being horror territory. When he goes to open the jar, he hesitates. He's like annoyed that he's getting actually scared. He finally opens up the jar, and the first thing is you hear a bang of the window.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
And it makes him jump, and it's actually a jump scare in the movie. But the smart thing, too, is that could represent Faron, and this is one of the moments I'm talking about, whereas that could have been the ghost escaping out. That could have been the demon escaping out the window.
But then you see what the banging is.
What was the wind?
No, I thought it was one of his colleagues or whatever outside, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I thought it was just the wind.
I think he like responds to him. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, what's you have another scene?
No, that was it. The first one was the exorcism and the dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second one, my main one, was the whole thing with the jar rolling around, falls off the table, rolls towards him. The way that whole sequence was constructed was very well done.
Damn, that's poetry.
The police sergeant is visiting with the doctor, the village doctor.
His love.
He finds out that his love. He finds out that she has the actual jar from the exorcist. So he's going to check up on her. She is asking him about how his night was going, whatever. And he talks about how he's so stressed by all this stuff that happened with the townspeople earlier in the day, and he was being really cocky and all this stuff, and now it's like keeping him up at night, and he's like distraught.
Well, and he says Amardon escaped.
Yeah, and he says Amardon escaped, and she's like,
and she smiles.
Yeah, she smiles, and then he's like, "What? Are you happy?" And she says, "Yes and no." And he says, "Why yes?" And she says, "Because you got what you deserve." And then he says, "Why no?" And then she says, "Because you got what you deserve."
خوشحالی
هم آره هم نه خوشحالم چون سرت خورد به سنگ
و برای چه ناراحتی
چون سرت خورد به سنگ.
And it was such a sweet moment, I thought, between the two of them.
That's very well written scene.
Yeah.
I agree. That was one of mine, so I agree with you. And my other one was, I'm paraphrasing here, but he essentially says like one of the reasons he doesn't buy into any of this stuff and it upsets him so much is when he's telling the narrative story about what happened to his finger.
Yeah.
That we mentioned. But she goes, but why does it bother you so much? And he essentially says, superstitious people don't just hurt themselves. They are a danger to everyone.
آدم‌های خرافاتی آزارشان فقط به خودشان نمیرسه. برای همه مردم خطرناکه.
And I was like, that is such a poignant way of putting it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people want to be like, oh, it's just they're like, let them believe the crazy thing they believe. But sometimes it's like, no. If you indulge people in believing this mass hysteria, they're not only hurting themselves, they're hurting society.
Yeah. Just look at the US right now.
Yeah. Best performance.
I wrote the exorciser.
Yeah.
Exorcist.
The guy who was doing his exercises.
Yeah.
Puriya Rahimi-sam.
Yeah, Puriya Rahimi-sam.
Played Amardon.
Is that yours too?
Yeah, I'm going to give two. His monologue. There's a monologue when he's in prison and he's writing those things on the wall, and the guy, the other Eunice, looks in on him. And he has a monologue about what in other countries he would have been considered a hero and a god for what he's doing. And you guys are arresting me. And he has this like nice monologue. And I really like his performance of that. I actually think he's one of the main standouts. along with Yunez, who was also he was like the underling soldier that's working with. He's played by Basset Rezai,
Mm-hmm.
the main guy who follows him. You know who I'm talking about, right? He's a little bit more afraid.
Yeah. That's the guy
They
that was
were-
the number 2.
Yeah, those were my 2 favorite actors. I really like them a lot, and yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Solid. I did think that the chemistry between the mustache sergeant and the doctor was good.
I thought it was too sad. I thought it was for a different movie.
Melodramatic, yeah, maybe.
It just like maybe the chemistry was good together, but like not. It was incongruous with the rest of the tone.
Yeah, maybe.
And they were both just so gorgeous.
Yeah, they're both like Turkish soap opera level of attractive.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And it's Festival of Cons, where Kaveh elaborates about things he didn't like about this movie, and Farin adds some juicy tidbits. I have 2 I want to go off the bat.
I really only have 1. Actually, I have 2. Go ahead.
Well, my first one, as I mentioned, I think the casting of the 2 leads is a big mistake.
Interesting.
I think if the film's lead had been benefiting from someone a little bit more rustic,
I love you're like we need someone uglier to be the lead.
it's not even. It's like, yeah, kind of though. Sometimes it's like,
But see, that's why I was saying, like, I think his mustache is fake. His mustache is like way too perfect. His eyebrows are too perfect.
yeah.
He doesn't look real.
Some moments, like with him and other like big crowds, felt a little too produced. Like I could feel the high budget of this film.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It didn't seem like that. Again, the Kiarostami example of like how he just gathered a bunch of villagers and actually shot a scene with them. It almost seemed like this was a casting call of like the extras and all that stuff. I will say his acting was competent. It's just something about his look really just didn't seem right. The other festival con I'll add before you go to it is Malihe, the doctor.
Okay.
She's collecting blood samples throughout the entire film, and there's this whole plot line about how the blood is like they have particularly high levels of adrenaline.
Yeah.
And they're collecting like urine samples and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. This is gonna come back at some point.
Yeah.
And it never does. It goes nowhere.
Yeah.
And it feels very much like a leftover from a previous draft.
that kind of ties into one of my issues with the film. I feel like the movie needed a little more conflict, especially because the whole thing with the superstition stuff was like, oh yeah, like the real demon is the people and their superstition.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we were missing another through line of conflict throughout the film.
Yeah.
Like it felt like there wasn't enough. Does that make sense? So like I thought that the blood thing could be beefened up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
If this was at script stage, I'd be like, you need one. I'd be like, what's your theme? Now take that theme and infuse it into like a main character storyline that you have, or like character progression, and somehow find a way to tie it into the blood work.
Yeah.
Yeah, my other one was just, I mentioned it before. It feels more like a TV show than it does a movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's more of a nitpick than it is like an actual con. My main con is that the movie just doesn't have enough conflict.
Double feature lineup. Here we go with double feature lineup. Doobie-doo. Far and go. Batman Begins. Why?
Yeah, the scarecrow fear toxin I think ties in really well with.
It does actually. That's nice. Mass hysteria.
No, my actual ones. If I'm picking an Iranian one, I'm gonna pick Under the Shadow because they both deal with jinn,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them is like, okay, here's what happens when people are far too superstitious, believing something that's not real.
Yeah.
And then Under the Shadow is, this is what happens when people who are far too logical ignore the superstition that is actually haunting them.
And you could also pair that with Aladdin, and you say this is what happens when your jinn is voiced by Robin Williams.
Yeah, exactly. And then if I was pairing this with a non-Iranian film, I guess The Wicker Man. I haven't seen it, but just from like what I know about the plot, I feel like
Which version?
I don't know. I didn't even know about the 70s one until I Googled it 5 minutes ago. So
Okay.
Nick Cage.
The Nick Cage one is considered like a complete abysmal failure.
Is
and,
it?
And fans of the original hate it. Yeah. It became a meme.
Yeah,
because
that's why I
he
know.
gets
I know
trapped in
because of all the
bees.
memes. Yeah.
The bees, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's laughable.
Yeah, that's why I know it.
You would think that someone like me who knows his cinema, especially when it comes to horror films, would go, well, actually, no, maybe you wouldn't think this, but obviously the obvious thing is Exorcist. the William Friedkin film.
Yeah.
I would have thought also Babadook, because that's a film about how horror tropes play into like the psyche and whether or not it exists, like mass hysteria. Although that's just on a micro level. But I've said Babadook before. I actually think I said Babadook for Under the Shadow. So and I might have said these films too, but what I would say is Repulsion, the 1965 film by your buddy Roman Polanski.
Oh God. Just to clarify,
that you and him only played
do not
tennis
like
one time.
Roman Polanski.
It's a story about a woman's sexual repression manifesting as violent hallucinations, and the monsters are entirely subjective. So it's like sexual repression and hands coming through walls. It's really creepy.
Yep.
The other film is The Witch, which I think is actually a better thing. The Robert Eggers film. Have you seen The Witch?
The Vivitch? No.
The Vivitch.
It was on my list, remember?
Yes. It's deeply ambiguous for much of its runtime. Are we witnessing genuine witchcraft, or is this puritanical hysteria and guilt? So if you watch The Vivitch, you will feel a lot of this film in that, because it's asking the same question, sort of, thematically. Just to throw in also, I really love this film Sleep. It's a South Korean horror film about a haunting possession. Or is this man just sleepwalking? I loved it. All right, those are my 3. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hollywood remake.
I don't know.
No. Final thoughts and grades. I honestly think
Did it go down while we've been talking about it?
No, I just know you're going to be very shocked. I really enjoyed it. It's A-.
Like, I am pretty shocked. I'm not that shocked.
Sorry, you know what? No. This is A-. I forgot I can go a little bit lower.
That's more what I thought you would give it.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
I honestly thought you would give it an A-.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was a fairly competent film. I really liked the allegorical representation of like what the movie was about. It almost felt like this guy came up with this premise of this film on like the back of a napkin, went out and wrote an outline, wrote the script. But I think that his script or his outline would have benefited from maybe a fourth writer coming in and like recommending he expand on his theme and infuse it into the growth of each of his characters a little better and tie up some loose ends. Because it honestly just felt like there was a lot missing from the film for me. I wasn't underwhelmed. I wasn't overwhelmed. I'm going to give it a C-.
C-. My God, what did they ever do to you?
That's not bad. That's mid.
That's pretty bad.
That's not
That's
bad.
Lower than mid.
Which means that our Cinema Rex show average for Zalava is B-.
On the surface, Zalava plays like a familiar possession story, small town paranoia, superstition, and unseen evil. But what will likely win many fans over is how subtly it reframes the genre. The demons in Zalava are only implied, whispered about, passed from person to person through fear and rumor. The horror doesn't live in the jar or in any supernatural force. It lives in the collective imagination of the people, in their need to believe that something larger is controlling their fate. What makes the film so effective and ultimately so unsettling is how it turns hysteria into a mirror, not just of one community, but of an entire society on the brink of transformation. It's a story about beliefs as contagion, about how panic and faith can intertwine until they're indistinguishable. Beneath its quiet dread, Zalava feels like a reflection on Iran itself during moments of upheaval, when the desire for salvation can so easily tip into devotion to false prophets. It's that tension between reason and superstition, fear and faith, that gives the film its real power. Farhan June, thank you for doing this spooktacular Halloween episode of Cinema Rex podcast. I appreciate all that you do.
Thank you, Kaveh. It was a pleasure having you on my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Please come back anytime. You're always welcome.
Ooh. To all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, like, follow, do all of the social media things that I hate asking you about.
Leave comments. We've been reading them. We've been responding to some of them.
And to everyone else, the Omid Didar.
Bye.
Music for Cinema Rex was written and performed by Sohail Sadinejad.